Hi everyone. I want to share my story with you today about being the victim of a random act of violence and why this has prompted me to offer free 30-minute virtual meetings with anyone in need. Um, as like most of you, I too am here stuck at home. Here goes. A couple of weeks ago, before New York City started shelter in place, I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and he was telling me about some of the different, changes going on and how New York City was now threatening to maybe shut down our subway as soon as tomorrow. So naturally I thought, okay, what would I need to work remotely and to manage my staff remotely if we needed to do that? So I decided to make my way up to my office. By New York standards, it wasn't late. It was, around 8 o'clock. And I went over to my office. I let another friend know that I was going over there. They offered to come pick me up and bring me home with my things. So, I got what I needed from my office. I, grabbed a couple of cups of tea on my way out of the building. And when I'd gotten, to the ground floor, I made sure my friend was outside. And, he said to me he was just a block over. So great, I came out. The building's entrance is quite large, so I came walking out. And after a few cycles of the stoplight, my friend still wasn't there. So I called, and there was some like street repair, so there was some closure or something, and he had to go around, but he'd be right there. So no sooner that I put my phone away, I felt somebody hit me, quite hard on the back of my head. And I, obviously was confused. I turned around and I began asking, what or why. I certainly was wondering why would somebody, hit me for no reason. So, um, when I turned around, the guy was just standing there looking at me. And of course, he's bigger than I am. He's like a young version of Mr. Bean, probably in his late 20s or something like that. And so I turned to pick up my cups of tea, which I set on this whatever planter or something, and I began to move. And when I began to move, he began to back away. He didn't say anything to me. He was just staring at me. And I saw behind him a security guard did come out of my building. So I began moving to go talk to the security guard, and as I began doing that, then he began to back away from me. And, um, I went and began to, get the security guard, and I explained to him how this guy just hit me on my head. And he asked me if I was okay and asked me where is this person? And I pointed down the street and I said, that's him, there running down the street. And at this point, the guy was already at the corner. So, the security guard said, okay, well, are you waiting for a car? Why don't you come wait inside? And, at that moment, then my friend pulled up. So I got in the car and, my friend brought me home. And I'm okay, admittedly a bit shaken up. Um, I was in shock at first. Now it's, kind of settling in, but I am okay. And hopefully, you haven't been the victim of a random act of violence yourself at any time, but, during this time as well. But I recognize that even if you haven't been, that you very well could be experiencing some uncomfortable feelings during this era where we're taking a pause on our life, and business is not as usual and family life may not be as usual, and so there may be things that you want to talk about as well. So I wanted to go ahead and make myself available to lend an ear or to help you gain clarity on something, or just to offer support about anything that you may need support on. So if you want to schedule a time, feel free to contact my office through the email below. And until then, be well, be safe, and know that we're thinking about you.